All right, so today, what I want to do, I'm gonna set this up. I want to do a review of sorts of the quad that I have been flying for the past, let's see, it's May now, all of December through April, so 5 months going on 6 months now. The Moxy from Rotor Riot, designed by BubbyFPV. And I'll kind of give a little bit of the story on why I picked this frame, and then I'm going to give you my pros, cons, and we're going to fly a little bit. So I'm going to try to make this short, sweet, to the point, not keep you guys here too long. So let me get set up and we'll get into it. Okay, so we got the Bubby frame here, and this is mine in its current form, right? It's a 5-inch freestyle frame. Like I said, this was designed by BubbyFPV. I'll have a link to him down in the description, and sold through Rotor Riot. It was done as a collaboration between him and the Rotor Riot guys, and they designed it. Picked this frame up when it came out. I knew that it was coming out because I'd ran into Bubby at the Rotor Riot store. I'd stopped in there actually to see his mom and him. She had been messaging me a bunch, and since way back, there's a story when he had, I think it was his birthday party, and they surprised him with the cake and all that kind of stuff. Somewhere around there, I think it was. Might have been that video, might not have been that video. But anyways, in his vlog, he said he crashed successfully. And so I had sent him a message and said that would be great to put on a shirt. And sure enough, a while later, his mom, FPV Mama, she sent me a message and she said, "When do you want your shirt?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "When you said that he should make that slogan on a shirt." And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." And I was like, cool. And so they ended up sending me a shirt, and then she reached out to me whenever she was down here just to kind of come by and say hi and all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of cool. So anyways, while I was there, he was in the process of designing this. Him and Drew were doing some design stuff on this, and I didn't get to see it then. But anyways, I told him, I said, let me know when it comes out, I want to see it. So he did, and I looked at it and I was like, cool, I'll check that out. And I'm always willing to try new frames, check out new frames and stuff. I had been flying for a good while the Martian 2 clone frame of the Alien, like forever. And I had really good luck with that. I've been pretty happy with that frame, so I wasn't looking to switch or anything really. But I always like to try new stuff out. Well, just so happened, I ordered this stuff in, ordered everything for it. It was, prior to Christmas, and for myself, for Christmas, I always buy myself stuff to build a new quad. Some sort of something new. And so in this case, it was going to be this one. And, well, just before Pack-Sember, if you all remember Pack-Sember, and if you don't, link in the description to the playlist, you can go back and watch the whole fly pack every day, different spot every single day almost, in December. Anyways, just before that, like 2 days before that or something, I ended up breaking my setup, and I didn't have what I needed to fix it other than the parts for this one. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to build it. And so decided to build it, and I said, I'm going to need one that's going to fly every month. He swears by the durability of this thing, and so I'm going to give it a shot, and we'll find out how well it works. And made it through the whole month of Pack-Sember, no problems. And now here we are, another 4 months later. So that's kind of where that happened. Now, there's been a few changes to my setup since then with stuff breaking. Not the frame, actually. Electronics and whatnot, because of the way I had them mounted and stuff. I finally got all of those little kinks worked out, and we're all good. So, with all of that backstory, let me go into the pros and cons, and I'll just kind of mix them because I really don't know how I want to go about doing this, but I'm going to start with the number one pro. Durability. I have not broke anything on the frame itself. The frame has been solid. I mean, the carbon has taken a beating. If you want to take a look here, I don't know if I can get this to focus or not. But anyways, you can see the front of this thing is chewed all to pieces, and if I took this front bumper off here, you would see that this is mangled up here too. But no cracks or anything. no, no delamination other than like on the ends there where it's been beat, and still freaking solid. I mean, it doesn't even flex. So big pro for durability. I think a lot of that has to do with just the overall design with the way that everything kind of goes together. So you got this bottom plate here, sandwiches the arms in, and it's just fairly, compressed down, but there's still plenty of space for what you need in there. But the parts that I noticed with my Martians, what would always happen is they would break right in here. They would crack right in there. But notice on this one, look at how beefy this is. And I measured this the other day. There's like 7 millimeters, 7 or 8 millimeters from this edge here of the carbon all the way to where that hole is. So I mean, beefy at a weak point. Notice something else. Do you see any cutouts on this thing? Do you see any cutouts? There's no cutouts at all in the carbon other than what is essential for actually putting it together. Those two things alone, I think, are a big factor in the durability of it. The other part of it, I think, that adds to the durability is the way that this camera plate works here. And we'll talk about this here in a minute too. But see how this comes all the way, it comes all the way through, let me get on the side. It comes all the way up through this, goes down in the bottom here. See, it goes in nice and snug there. There's really no excess there, no play in that. Comes up, it comes through the carbon, and it's designed just to hold the camera. But I think the fact that this comes all the way through the carbon actually adds to the durability. That and the fact that then there's a standoff that runs in between here holds all this stuff super snug. I mean, it's tight. And then of course you got the standoffs here, and you got the carbon, which is thick. It's like 2 millimeters thick there, I think. So thick carbon. You got the standoffs, front set and a back set around, probably the weakest point of any quad, because that's where it's going to take all the impacts. And that adds a huge, huge benefit to the durability, I think. That's, my opinion. Now, another thing that's pretty nice. Everything is all chamfered, which I think that helps a lot. That's helped a lot with this. But now I've kind of built my own chamfering here, smoothing off. I mean, you can see, look at that. I've worn these bumpers out, man. These little feet bumpers. Man, I have worn these things out. But it's held up. So that takes me to a con, I guess. There was no, and that's because it's new, it's not really a con per se of the frame itself, it's just a con of the fact that it's new. There was no arm bumpers. Nobody designed any arm bumpers. They didn't have any arm bumpers designed. Bubby, I don't know why you guys don't use arm bumpers. You really should use arm bumpers. But, so there was no arm bumpers designed, so I've been kind of, stuck with not that. Well, I figured out how to do arm bumper design. If you want to find out how to do that, I'll have a link up here, or maybe down in the description, or both. Anyways, I made a video on how I did the arm bumpers for this. I don't have them on this one yet because the arms are still in good shape. They're still holding in there. There's no point in putting arm bumpers on now. They wouldn't work anyways, and I'd have to swap out the whole arm, and I don't feel like swapping out the whole arm to put the arm bumper on when it's working well. But that's a con. There was, no good 3D part list, but that's not really a con of the frame. It's just a con of the newness of it. There was no good mount. There was a mount for GoPro, but not a good mount for a GoPro. And in my case, at the time, I had a Runcam 5 orange, same size as a Session, and there was nothing for that. So reached out to Bubby. He sent me the base file, and then I took that base file and I added a holder for the Runcam 5 Session cameras. Put that on there. I'm not using that now, but that's what I was using all of back December. So links to all the 3D files that I've designed for this thing too since then. So pro/con. He designed this for DJI with the air unit, and it comes with a nice mount back here for the cameras that for the antennas that keeps them nice and neat and secured and protected. This isn't that. This is one that I designed because I don't run DJI, I run analog. So it comes with that, and if you're running strictly DJI, so he uses the DJI controller and uses, their goggles and everything. And so if you're doing that, it has everything that you need short of some arm bumpers and a camera mount, all included. which is great for, you know, a lot of the new pilots. That's what they're running, and I don't blame them for running. It's good stuff. But anyways, so everything's included for that, and it makes a really nice, solid, durable piece. But I didn't have that running analog. So what did I do the first month? I took what he had designed and I hacked it to hold my antenna at the time, because again, I wasn't really doing 3D design. I don't even have a 3D printer. Wasn't really designing anything, and so I hacked that, and it worked well enough. But that was where I ended up having some durability issues, like, because those mounts were designed for the DJI antennas, and the antennas I had were slightly larger. These are the lollipops, they're slightly larger, so they wouldn't fit in there. So I had to cut them, put them in there, and then kind of like wrap them in tape or something to hold them in. And then what would happen is, in crashes, they would still take the brunt of the hit, and they ended up breaking, and I broke a couple antennas with that. Again, that's not the fault of his design, it's just my fault. And then I had really no other issues as far as that kind of stuff goes. I did break a VTx again because of poor mounting. I've got that all resolved now, and it would, like, that antenna would like get jammed, and it would knock it forward, and it would bust it. And so I ended up busting VTXs. I broke the plug going into the ESC back here, and so my ESC now is all those are hardwired. I took the cable and hardwired it down to the ESC. So those are all cons, but not because of the frame's design. Now, actual con of the frame design, it's a pro and a con. It's a pain in the butt. I hate them. They do help in some certain cases, but you don't actually have to have them in this particular frame. And it is the press nuts in here. Hate those things. They end up stripping out, and then they're great when you're first using it, but they'll end up stripping out if you're not careful. I end up stripping them out, and so then you're stuck, and you've got to come up with something. So what I end up having to do was I end up having to use a nut on top, and then you run it through there that way. Don't like press nuts. I hate them, but they do allow you to have your frame design compressed down a little bit. That's one benefit. Another benefit is it makes it easier to do repairs in general whenever they're working, because you can just, you know, unscrew them straight down. You don't have anything to hold on to at the top. You know, you just unscrew your bolt, and you're all good. You don't have to hold on to the nut on top or anything, which that's great. But man, I hate those things. Another con, and this is every frame. Every frame comes, and I've still got a couple left on here, these little button head rounded 2mm M3s. I hate those things, man. I don't know how many of these. I strip these things out all the time. I don't get my socket in just perfectly straight, and I've got a good set of sockets, and they end up stripping out. I hate those things. I like these good 2.5mm socket heads. Don't strip these, and you can snug these down really good. And these are like really good steel in general, although I did shear one off the other day. You can see a picture of that on Instagram, link in the description. So I don't like butt heads, but that's like every frame. They all send that. Some people like those, I guess. I don't know. They are a little smoother on the bottom. They don't. They kind of loud. But I just don't like them. I hate them. I just have bad luck with them. So I ditched those for almost everything. When I've been replacing stuff, I haven't replaced all of them, obviously. I just didn't feel like doing it. When I replace the arms on this, put fresh arms on eventually, I'll replace those. But for now, they're fine. So that's a con. Another con, I guess, is there's not a lot of space in here for a beeper. I managed to get one in here, though. I don't think Bubby runs a beeper. You should run a beeper, Bubby. I got a beeper in here, if you can see it or not, but it's in there. Squeeze it in there behind my camera and managed to get that in there. But there's not a lot of space left for a beeper whenever you're putting everything in. A Pro, it's got mounts back here for 20x20, and I utilize those to mount my Immortal-T. I like that. That's pretty nice. Pretty good Pro. Some people might say it's a con. I don't really know if it is or not, but if you are big into having slots for your straps, there's no slots for your straps. You just got to kind of run them under there, but I've never had an issue with that. I guess some people have, but I haven't. One other partial con, the pad here is not as sticky as it could be. It could be a little better, but it has worked pretty well. My battery is only shifted just ever so slightly, and that was before I started using a protective cover for the battery, which helps hold the straps and keeps them from being able to slide on the top of the battery at all. It keeps the battery from moving. So when I did that was good. A pro. The way that if you run your XT60 correctly, then you can run it out here, out of this little gap. That's what you designed it for, and you zip tie it to this, and it does not move ever. I mean, it's like perfect. I have tried mounting my XT60, leads to those standoffs before in different places on other frames, and I've never had luck with it. They always want to twist or whatever, but with whatever he's doing here, I don't know what the deal is with how this is going together or what it is. I don't know, but it has worked perfectly. Maybe it's just the way that I've got this on here now. I don't know, but this is genius. It works great. Brings it right up here, keeps it out of the battery or out of the props, the battery lead out of the props, and works really, really well. I really like that. As far as anything else specific about the frame that I like or don't like, it's not too hard to work on. You have, when you take it apart, you've got to take your HC camera off. Technically you don't have to, but if you don't take it off, then the camera plates and everything all comes up with the top plate, and it can be a bit of a pain. So generally you want to take your camera off. So you've got 2 bolts there, and you've got 2 in the front, 2 in there, and 2 in there, so you got like 8, just like a typical Martian frame. They're just in different spots, but it's nice and open. It's pretty easy to work on. And let's see here, it'll hold a double stack nicely there, so your ESC flight controller, even if you are not using the press nuts, you can still raise it up a little bit. That works pretty well, and flies great. I've just used his tune, and of course I've been flying his rates, but I just put his tune, and he's flying a slightly different set of motors and everything, but the tune has worked great. One other downside, this thing is heavy. Oh my God, it's heavy. And when I first put the heavier GoPro on there, I was like, my God, this thing is chunky, and I really didn't like it. Honestly, I didn't like it. You can ask my buddy Mario, Triton FPV. I told him, I was like, man, I don't know about this. The video footage is okay, but man, the weight, I don't know if I can get used to it. But finally, I've gotten used to it, and I really like it. I actually like the heavier weight now. This thing is chunky. With my battery, I'm running 4S. This GoPro, the TPU and stuff you see on here, this thing's over 800 grams. It's chunky. So if you like a lighter quad, this is not the quad for you. But durability, man, it's taken a beating. Tons and tons of crashes. I don't know if I can I'll include maybe some of the crashes here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I don't have video from too far back, and I'll dig a few crashes out. I'll try to find a few noteworthy crashes and include those in here so you guys can see those. But man, it has taken a beating. I mean, look at those arms. That is from the crashes, and just terrible crashes over and over and over and over and over again. And the frame has survived. I've broken electronics, like I said, but not the frame. Man, it's taken a beating. One other downside, and this is basically every frame, and I don't know if I'm the only one. I know I'm not the only one, but maybe I'm one of the few who has it a lot. These standoffs, these aluminum standoffs, I strip inside of them when I'm putting the screws and stuff in, like they wear out. And I think it's just that all the hits, they won't, it's not bending or whatever, but like they wear out inside, and so then when I go to put the screws back in, they don't like snug down, and I have to get longer and longer screws to go in farther to catch the threads. So as a hopefully a fix for that. I found some stainless steel standoffs. They were a little pricey. I'm going to try those and see if that fixes my problem, because you know the bolts I've got going in are steel, and steel going into aluminum, steel wins over aluminum every time, and then just, you know, beating on it, it just wears out. Am I the only one who has that problem? I can't be the only one who's had that problem, and that's, you know, one downside. Upside to that though is he includes a whole set of extra standoffs in the packaging, and he includes the little feet things. So big plus there, really like that. These aren't the ones that were included, they're like black. These are ones I had from Motor-Right, but it's the same exact ones. So that's a plus. And I think that covers pretty much pros, cons with this thing. Love it. Best frame I have ever had. Anytime anybody is asking about picking up a frame, I keep telling them, get this, get this, get this, get this, get this, get this. And it's like 60 bucks, and a lot of times it's on sale. Like, I got mine whenever they had them on sale. I think I paid like 40 bucks or 45 bucks. And so I've got two built just like this, and then I've got two additional frames as backups if I need parts for anything, which I have yet to need a spare part, which is awesome. Love that. So I'm going to get to flying. I've been talking way too much, and hope you guys enjoy a little flight footage here and from this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. And as always, not a bit of damage to the frame. Love this thing. See ya! Show no fear, for she may